In 2 Corinthians 5:14, in the Message Bible, it says, Christ's love has moved me to such extremes. His love has the first and the last word in everything we do. Our firm decision is to work from this focused center, His love. How has Christ's love moved you or moved some? Especially in such a time like this, a world changed by COVID-19. Moved by love. This is a series of stories of how some very loving friends of ours share God's love in proactive, persistent, and practical ways.
Last year, 2020, I asked the Lord for a burden for lost souls. And straight away, my brother-in-law, who's a Roman Catholic, came into my mind. And I was asking God, Lord, how shall I reach out to him? My family and I have this habit of coming together to play rummy cook. And we normally go to his house. Initially, he did not join us, but later on, one day when we asked him, would you like to come and also join us in this game? He said, okay, and he started playing with us. And eventually, he got a hook on it and he enjoyed playing it very much. And during this time, I just sensed in my spirit that, that I need to reach out to him to share the good news with him because he's still not a believer. And during this time, actually, we began to bond with him even more. And after that, I was asking God, Lord, how can I approach him to share the gospel? And the Lord gave me 3 divine appointments. And the first one was, God impressed upon my heart to approach Peter Daniel, who is Pastor Manaja's husband, to share the gospel with my brother-in-law. And another sister and I arranged a dinner before Christmas to invite them to her house to give them a treat. So when they came, my brother-in-law and my sister, his wife, was also there. And the minute they met each other, Peter Daniels and my brother-in-law began to point at each other and say, hey, I know you, and then they began to just click, and the minute they sat down, in the midst of the conversation, Peter actually shared the gospel with my brother Joe. Then on the first day of New Year, 2021, we met again at the same sister's house in Marsiling, again for a meal. And then my sister told me to prepare some worship before we have our dinner. So I said, okay. And then that morning I asked the Lord, what shall I do in this time of gathering? Is there anything you want me to do? And the Lord gave me a word scepter of authority and impressed upon my heart to pray for the men in the house. After a time of worship, I shared with my siblings what God has put upon my heart. And after that, I said, I'm now going to pray for our brothers, the men among us. Another sister and I, we got together and we prayed for my 2 brothers who actually broke down when they were touched by the Lord. And my brother-in-law who was sitting there, was the last man whom we haven't prayed for, was watching everything, and I could see from his countenance that he's actually seems to be interested. So I turned to him and I said, Brother Joe, can I also pray for you? At first he said yes. Then I said, before that, can I ask you, would you like to receive Jesus into your life? And then he turned to me and said yes. And I was surprised that I have to ask him 4 times to be sure. And he said yes 4 times. Then I immediately prayed for him and guided him to say the sinner's prayer. And then he received Jesus into his life. I was asking the Lord, how shall I continue from here to do follow-up? Whom shall I approach for follow-up on him? And I remembered my dear sister who actually attends a Tamil church. So I approached her, would you be able to help my brother-in-law get a Tamil Bible? She said, okay, I'll ask my pastor. And then the minute when she asked him, the pastor was willing to give the Bible, but before that he said, I would like to visit him. That was even great. So he came, and again, the minute he stepped into the house, they both actually knew each other. So he prayed for him, and he gave him the Bible and said that, read the Gospel of John, I'll come back again to visit you. Then she said, hey, I know this man called Brother Raj, who was actually a pastor from Malaysia, but now he's stuck in Singapore. And he's got no job, nothing to do, but he goes around visiting people and he ministers to people. And she said he comes to my house and meets my mother who has dementia and prays for her. I said, wow, great. I said, is there a possibility for him to meet with my brother-in-law and minister to him? She said, sure. So she called him and he was so willing to come. And he has been coming over now to visit my brother, and they're starting to pray for him, minister to him. And he has actually visited him 2 times already, and he's coming again for the 3rd time. So I really want to thank God for the way He has been intervening, and for all His divine appointments, and for the way that God has opened His door for my brother-in-law, whom I believe and I know that he loves Him so much. And I'm looking forward now for the day of his baptism. And all glory, all honor to God.
Moved by that, proactive, persistent, practical love. Sharing Christ with our loved ones is not just about them going to heaven. It is about walking together with them here on earth, growing as disciples, and sharing a lifelong journey of love lived out. Are you for it? Here are some simple steps to get you going. First, pray earnestly for our loved ones. Secondly, seek God for ideas and strategies. Third, share God's stories with our loved ones. And fourth, have a tract or even a blessing card ready at all times. Fifth, make a phone call or even a home visit to deepen the relationship. Number 6, listen attentively as your friends share. Number 7, intercede for them specifically. Number 8, invite them for any outreach opportunities. Have a go at it. Remember to share with us your stories to encourage others. Here is the email. You will be amazed how your unique, loving ways can move others.